Yes. Well, actually, Nigeria nowadays is the biggest national organization that we have in Africa, with more than 2,000 members, young active citizens, because JCI is the leading global network of young active citizens, and our mission is to provide development opportunities that empower young people to create positive change. This is how we work wherever in the world. I use the word work, but in fact we are volunteers. All of our members are volunteers, are young active citizens that decide to invest their time, their resources in order to be better and create better societies. So how do we do it? First of all, we identify the needs of the community. Wherever in the world, in more than 120 countries and 5,000 local communities, as you mentioned, we start by analyzing the needs of the community. And then we think to sustainable solutions, because you know better than me that a solution can be good today, worse tomorrow, so sustainable solutions. And in order to make it happen, we create partnership among the three pillars of the society, which are government, business, and civil society. Our organization is a no-political organization. We don't have political parties. We have members from different religions, different races, different genders. But what we do is to cooperate with institutions. So we cooperate with government, business, and civil societies in order to create a positive change. And we invite our members to take action, because frankly speaking, everybody is able to complain. Wherever in the world, not only in Nigeria, there's something that goes wrong, and it's easy to give the responsibility to someone else. But we must take the responsibility also for what goes wrong in our country. So wherever I'm going in the world, I'm promoting the individual social responsibility, because we often talk about corporate social responsibility.
But before we go into that in detail, you have visited over 20 countries this year.
Yes, so
Nigeria
far.
is not the first country you're visiting. What have you seen worldwide? Where you visited, what have you come across? What would you say your take is? Because I'm sure you're getting more informed as you journey around.
Yes. Well, as you mentioned, so far I visited around 20 countries in 4 different continents. So the only one is missing so far is the Pacific, in like Australia or New Zealand, but I visited Asia, Europe, the Americas, and of course Africa and the Middle East. And wherever in the world, frankly speaking, there are challenges. But JCI is not here despite the challenges. JCI is here exactly because there are challenges in the world that needed to be addressed. And our members really wants to create a positive change. Now, I'm a journalist, and so as well as you, I know very well that sometimes a tree that falls down makes more noise than a forest that grows. But I'd like to tell you that the forest is still growing wherever in the world. There are wonderful young active citizens who really desire to make the difference. And Nigeria is a wonderful example for this, because
People making a difference.
yeah.
But I would have liked to know, we know about our country, but you have been all over the world, so to speak. I want to know, because as you go from country to country, you are taking away different things, and to help you to work with the next continent or country you're visiting. Over and beyond the challenges, what have you met on ground?
Yes.
What have you seen? I know JCI is working. They must be working for you to be traveling around the world, and you must be meeting JCI everywhere you go. But what have you met?
You know, as I mentioned, the needs are different from community to community. We cannot pretend that the needs in Nigeria are the same in Italy or in the United States of America. So it depends from situation to situation. For example, before coming here, I visited Lebanon and Jordan. Now, you know the situation in Middle East. We have members also in Syria. So, for example, in Jordan, I visited a couple of refugee camps in order to see how, as JCI members, we can support the refugees, but also the hosting communities, because we must take into consideration the challenges for both, for the ones who are obliged to go far away from their countries, but also for the hosting communities. For example, you know, in Jordan there are 6 million inhabitants, and is the 3rd poorest country in the world in terms of water. Now we are talking about around 1 million refugees. can you imagine the impact also in terms of resources for the population? So it's important to take care of both.
So what was JCI able to do? Has JCI been able to prefer solutions to some of their challenges?
We are absolutely working on it, from very concrete projects such as collecting blankets and bring blankets to the camps, but we are also, for example, I visited a very interesting program where we are providing in a camp, in a refugee camp, English lessons for women and children, because this is a way to empower them. So every week our members go there and provide them English lessons. Then there are other situations. For example, when I visited Panama just 2 days before the worst fire ever hit Panama, it was a waste dump on fire. And when I arrived there, we were talking about the individual social responsibility that I mentioned before and the importance of active citizenship. And so we decided we must take action, we must do something.
So what did you do?
And I personally led the first group of volunteers who went in the community close to the waste dump on fire in order to distribute masks and food, because there were children, old people, and because of political reasons they didn't want the support of the government, but they accepted our support because we are an NGO. So we went there and we helped the population. We gave them the mask and the food. I visited even before other countries in Africa, such as Togo, and in Togo I went and distributed the mosquito nets in a sanitary district to women who are pregnant or who have children under the age of 5, because it's not only important to give the bed nets but also to explain how to use them, because one single bite can kill your baby, so you must know how to use it. And before we visited Ghana, which also have the problem of malaria and of mosquito, and while I was there with the national presidents of Africa and Middle East, we had a meeting. We understood that the problem of stagnant water is related to the fact that people drink the bottles of water and then they just throw the plastic bottles. So this is creating, a problem in the natural environment, yes, of the water. And so we understood, okay, one day we can come here and remove the bottles, but what is important? It's important to educate people to recycle plastic bottles.
It is better.
Yes, because
prevention
education is the
cure.
foundation of the society.
Yes.
So now in Ghana, we are our members are active in a project. They are going into schools and on the buses, and they are teaching people to recycle plastic bottles. So these are some examples. I can continue.
We must say well done, well done. We have a very clear picture of your drive, of your passion, of your mission, of your project. We can see what you've encountered in other countries. But can we ask you, perhaps everything sounds so glossy and easy, but we know it's not easy.
No.
It's a daunting task, only for the courageous, only for the hardworking, only for those who are focused. So are there challenges you have faced over and beyond your journey into countries this year? Are there challenges that JCI may face, which is common worldwide? What are the most daunting challenges that JCI faces, would you say?
Yes, wherever there are challenges. As I mentioned, I'm promoting the individual social responsibility, because wherever in the world people tend to give their responsibility to someone else for what goes wrong in his country. But what is important is to empower young people in order for them to take their responsibility. As you mentioned, our organization became international at the end of 1944. It means the end of the Second World War. There was the war to rebuild, and young people from 8 different countries understood that it was their responsibility to be the protagonist of the rebuilding of the world. Frankly speaking, nowadays we are in the middle of another world war. Different weapons still produces victims, and it's the financial global world war. So once again, young people from wherever in the world are called to take the responsibility to be the protagonists of the rebuilding of our world. And this is an important message. We are
not asking them to take up arms, are you?
No, please.
What are you asking them to do?
We are asking them to dare to act in terms of being able not to do the easiest choice, like maybe can be just to take a gun, but the right one. And the right choice always implies sacrifices. No pain, no gain. What gives you satisfaction in your life without sacrifices? Think to your school, your family, your work, your sport trophy. without investing time and resources, you cannot be satisfied. Maybe at school you can just copy the text from someone who is more prepared than you. At the end you are happy because you seem to be qualified, but you are not satisfied because you didn't invest time and resources. So we are here to empower young people in terms of sustainable solutions. Why we say we must create partnerships? Because government by themselves honestly can't address all the challenges. Businesses by themselves can't. And again, even the civil society alone can't, but together, if we are able to create a partnership, then we can create sustainable solutions. So diversity must be a richness, and dialogue is fundamental.
It's key.
Yes.
It is key.